Welcome to Devon and the seaside town of Exmouth. Now, nobody is clutching their buckets and spades today playing on the sand, but they are in a healthy queue, clutching bags and boxes, hopefully full of treasure. And what are you going to do with all that lot? Flog it! Regarded by some as the oldest holiday resort in Devon, Exmouth has been a popular tourist destination ever since the 18th century. Its golden age came with the arrival of the railway in 1861, bringing with it mass tourism. And it looks like we've also brought out quite a crowd today. Fingers crossed a few gems from that golden age make an appearance. Keen to keep on track and already in the queue, looking for today's gems, are experts Christina Trevanian.
Oh, what is it that you've got?
So it's Victorian scrapbook. That's beautiful, isn't it? The colours are still so good.
And Will Axon.
I've seen a lot of horses, and I don't think either of those are going to make that water jump.
Both highly experienced valuers and auctioneers, I can guarantee nothing will slip past them.
He's a known man. I might give you one of these if I can, and we'll have a closer look inside.
Let's get the doors open and get the show on the road. While everyone takes their seats inside the pavilion, here's what's coming up later. Christina is amazed by what you can find if you're lucky.
Well, I actually bought it in a jumble sale. I paid 50 pence for it.
Bought it from a jumble sale?
Yeah.
For 50p?
Will has a little wobble at the unpredictability of the auction room.
I hope it sells, you know.
And I fulfil a boyhood dream. I tell you what, this is the life. This is the life every schoolboy wants. Well, everybody is now safely seated inside. This is where it gets exciting. Who is going to be one of the lucky ones to be whisked off to auction? We're going to find out because Will is first at the tables. Let's see who he's talking to and what he's found.
Well, Sue, I saw you looking very glamorous, I must say, in the queue this morning. And as soon as you pulled this little picture out of your bag, I knew exactly who it was by. Did you?
Well, I knew it was Adam Buck, but I don't know anything about it. I looked on the internet and
couldn't find
nothing out.
Found nothing out?
No.
Because he's actually a pretty prolific artist, actually, of the sort of early 19th century.
Right.
Now, just down here in this little bottom corner, he's kindly signed it and dated it also 1821, which is really the sort of prime of his career, shall we say, early 19th century. That's really when Adam Buck was painting his best work. Now, is it something that you've bought yourself, or is this something that you've inherited through the family?
Yeah, it's been inherited by the family.
Okay, what side? Your mother's side?
Yeah.
And does she remember herself where it came from?
I came down the family from my grandmother's side.
Okay,
Right.
so what I'm edging towards is whether or not this is a family member.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because there's two. My sister's got the other one.
And is the other one a gentleman?
No, it's a lady.
Another lady. And is there anyone in the family around this sort of date? Have you got the family tree, or...?
I haven't gone right back on the family tree, so I really don't know.
That's the trouble, and unfortunately you run out of people to ask as well, don't you?
Well, this is the problem.
The work itself is very typical of Buck's work, and she's wearing this wonderful hat here with,
fabulous.
I suppose, what are those, ostrich feathers, do you think?
It's lovely.
Ostrich feathers in her hat, in this delicate face with the eyes and the little rose lips there.
Lovely. Yeah,
One thing I
nice.
have got to draw your attention to that I'm not very happy about is the colour of this frame, because I think someone's got the old spray paint out.
Have they?
I think so, because looking at the back, it's actually an old frame.
Yeah.
But let's just spin it over quickly, and then you can see what I mean. You can see these blind holes, and the way the frame's been constructed is in an old way.
Right.
It's got this rather nice label as well on the back. And here we've got Carver and Gilder, picture frame manufacturer. So he may well have made the original frame, or because it's on the backboard here,
Possibly
that could have come with, could have come with it from another frame. Now, value-wise, I mean, have you had any thoughts as to what you think it's worth?
No, but I would hope it's worth more than £100.
Well, I think you're in the right sort of ballpark figure, to be fair. I mean, I was thinking sort of 100, 150 as an estimate. So if we reserve it at that bottom figure, fixed reserve at £100, I think she stands a good chance of making a little bit more, because look at her, I mean, she's a pretty face. nice, isn't
Yeah, it's
she?
very
She's not
pretty.
like it's a withered old whiskered gentleman, which isn't terribly commercial,
No.
but a nice, pretty period lady in dress like that. I think 100, 150
Right,
is on the
okay.
money. So are we agreed?
Yes, we're agreed.
100 fixed reserve,
Yep.
and I think you should say goodbye now because I'm pretty confident she's going to find a new home to hang in.
Right, good. Okay,
Well done, Sue.
thanks a lot.
Not at all.
And I'm confident too that she'll find some admirers in the sale room. Next, I'm in the driving seat.
Well, I've just been joined by Colin and this little chap here in the middle. Tell me, this is a wild guess, but are you in the tyre business?
Yes, I was, yes. I was a company director for Southwestern Tyres
Right, OK. Based where?
in Exeter.
In Exeter. Looking at this, I'm pretty sure this is compressed card or felt. Looking at it, you can see all the brown grinning through. I've seen a lot of these, and they're normally late 60s, early 1970s, made of fiberglass, more translucent, so you can put a bulb up inside so they light up.
That's right.
Now, this one is a much earlier one. This is very early 1950s. So does that correlate with how long you've had this? How long have you
Yes,
had
it does. I was in business for 48 years, and I bought this one more or less when I started off a local coach dealer.
How much did you pay for it?
I cannot remember. I think I gave him a tyre for it.
A tyre? Well, that's a fair exchange, isn't it?
Yeah.
And where have you had this bolted down? Onto the worktop?
No, it was on top of my lorry.
So how long was this on top of the lorry for?
About 20 years, I would have thought.
Wow, he's had a good life. Did you give him a name?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Colin. It's in relatively good condition. It needs a jolly good clean.
Yes.
So has this been in the garage over the last few years?
It's been up in my attic. I retired, so I sold the lorry and took this over.
I do like it. There's something about it, isn't there? I think when I was at school, you grew up with these kind of images of this logo. You know, it's that branding, that iconic branding, which sticks with you. These were only available to people in the trade. People like you, dealers, and the general public couldn't buy these back then. So when this comes on the market, I think people will fight for this if you're into automobilia. What do you think it's worth?
I have no idea whatsoever.
If this was in brilliant condition, if this was in perfect original condition, I think you'd be looking at £200. Unfortunately, it's not. It's had its knocks, it's had its wear, but that's only to be expected. It's been on top of a lorry for 20 years. Let's get this into auction with a value of £80 to £120 and put a reserve on, if you're happy, of around £60. Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with that, yeah.
I think we have a surprise. I think this is a come and buy me, and I think if we get this on the right websites with the right search engines, the automobile collectors and the trade collectors will love this.
It always amazes me what turns up on a valuation day. However, Hillary's brought along something a little bit more familiar.
Hillary, you brought in this collection of silver for us today, which you've also got some teaspoons and then this rather lovely cigarette case here, which has got Bristol and District Table Tennis Association on the front of it.
That's correct.
So are you a table tennis fan?
Well, I was when I was younger. My father was one of the members of the Bristol and District Table Tennis Association. He was the treasurer for many years. And in 1959, he was presented with this cigarette case in recognition of the work that he'd done for the association.
And he obviously represented his club and did a lot for the club.
He was mainly the treasurer. I think that's why he got this recognition.
Well, what a lovely gift that they've given him, because obviously you've got the enamelled front as well.
Yes.
The case is actually in solid silver.
Right.
And it's hallmarked for Birmingham 1957.
Right.
And they've obviously engraved his initials in the top corner here as well. If we open it up, it's still got its box there and a little dust case as well. And you've got this rather lovely inscription here, which says, presented to A.G. Norman on his appointment as life member, B&D-TTA, which is the Table Tennis Association, May 1959, which is lovely because although it's hallmarked for 1957, it's contemporary within that 2-year period. So it really is a quality piece. You've got this gilt interior as well, which is really nice. It just adds to the luxurious feel of it. Do you know if he ever used it?
Oh yes, I remember him using it.
Oh really?
Yes, yes, and in fact, when I opened it up, it still had little bits of tobacco in, which I brushed out.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, so that was the first item that you brought into us, and then you've also bought these very Art Deco teaspoons here, which again are solid silver.
Right.
And they are hallmarked for Sheffield 1937.
Right.
Maker's Mark CB&S, which I can't track down sadly. I think it may well be Charles Boyton and Sons.
Right.
But I'm not entirely sure about that. Where have they come from?
I don't know. They were my mother's, and she's long dead, I'm afraid.
Right.
And there's nothing significant that I know of in her life at that time, so I'm not sure how she got those.
Okay. And then we've also got this nice retailer's label here for James Walker Limited. I mean, the spoons do fit beautifully in this box,
Yes.
so I think they are contemporary.
They look contemporary.
With the box, yes, exactly. And then the second set of silver teaspoons, they're a little bit smaller,
Yes.
and each of them are monogrammed, and those are hallmarked for London 1923.
And that was when she was married first. And her married name was Farraker, and the F monogram is for Farraker.
It's for Farraker.
So
Oh,
it's when
right.
she was first married.
So those would have been a wedding present in 1923.
Absolutely.
Why have you decided to bring these in today?
Well,
What's
I'm
the reason for
moving
selling
house
them?
and I've been turning out cupboards, and frankly I haven't seen these since I moved into the house I'm in, which is 16 years. So it just seems that they're sitting in a drawer and somebody else might enjoy them.
Okay. It is quite difficult to put a price on the items that you bought in because they are very different. With regards to a value, I think what we would do is put them as one lot because perhaps the stronger items will help sell the weaker items.
Right.
So I think probably at auction we're looking somewhere in the region of £80 to £120
Okay.
for the group.
Yes.
Your main value being in your cigarette case and in your Art Deco spoons
Right.
here, okay? So we're looking at £80 to £120, maybe with a reserve of £70. All right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
Yeah,
that?
that'd be fine.
So let's just hope that Dad's many hard voluntary hours worked at the table tennis club pay off for you.
It always amazes me what turns up on a valuation day.
Well, Judith, thanks for bringing in the pestle and mortar.
My pleasure.
What can you tell me about it? Where's it come from?
I can't tell you a lot other than we found it in my husband's parents' house when we were clearing up.
Right.
He can remember it since he was at the age of 10, so it's about 55 years. But he thinks that it was to do with his grandparents.
Right, okay. Yes, I mean, it's certainly older than you remember it or your husband remembers it. I mean, I've been looking at it, and it can be quite hard to date this sort of
I would have
treen
thought it
or
would,
turned
yes.
wood. But, you know, I think we're probably into the sort of 18th century here.
It's incredible.
So, yeah, we're thinking sort of 1700s, that
That's
sort of
possible
period.
because his grandmother was in service, so it's a big
Okay.
house in Tiverton.
And this would have probably been used below stairs,
Yes.
in the kitchen to prepare, or even for medicinal purposes, for preparing sort of medicines and so
Yeah,
on,
I
and
suppose so,
and
yeah.
mixing up certain sort of ingredients. And I'm fairly confident that it's a lignum vitae, which is a well-known wood for turning because it's so dense. You feel the
imagine,
weight
yeah.
of it,
It's
can't you?
very heavy, yes.
It's very heavy. Lignum vitae actually is one of the few woods that actually sinks in water. It's so dense
right.
that it doesn't float. Now the pestle, I think, is probably associated, to be fair. I don't think they started off life together. If you put it inside there, you can just see the proportions are a little odd,
I
aren't
thought
they?
that, yes.
I mean, it's certainly done the job, hasn't it? I
Yes.
mean, it certainly fits in quite nicely. Have you given a thought of what it might be worth?
Absolutely no idea. We were just intrigued about it, really.
Just
we
interested
thought
to find out
Flog
about
was
it.
coming to Exmouth. We'd like to bring it and
Well,
see
quite
what
right.
we
That's
told
what we're
about
here
it.
for. Yes, I think you're right. I'm going to suggest that we put it in the sale with an estimate of, I'm thinking around the couple of £100 mark. I mean,
Wow.
how do you feel about that?
Very happy with that.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, very happy.
Let's put it in. Let's straddle that £200 mark. Let's
Yes.
put it in at 150 to 250.
Fair enough.
Yes?
Yes, that's fine.
And who knows, on the day it could make £200, £300, maybe £400.
That sounds wonderful.
I think the only thing to say now is see you at the auction.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Not at all.
Over the years on the show, I've discovered some superb antiques, seen wonderful works of art and met extraordinary people. But every now and then, when I least expect it, I come across an artist who completely bowls me over, totally inspires me. And that's what happened when I was staying here in the Dartmoor National Park. I have two passions in life, art and animals, and when I saw this painting here in the entrance hall at Bovey Castle, well, it was love at first sight. For me, this work is contemporary, it's fresh, it's alive, vibrant hues, yet understated, broad square brushstrokes, perfectly placed, but with confidence. This work is complicated, yet at the same time, it's refreshingly simple and easy.
On the Eye. It's by contemporary artist Catherine Lightfoot, and she's kindly agreed to meet up with me today to have a chat and also give me a lesson, so hopefully I can learn one or two things, pick up some tips, because her work has literally inspired me to pick up a paintbrush and start to paint.
Catherine's an impressionist painter who knew from primary school that she wanted to be an artist. She grew up in Dartmoor, so it's no surprise that most of her work is inspired by the moorland and the farm animals. She says it's their stubborn ability to survive the elements within their remote and beautiful environment that she admires. And I must say the mood and the character she captures is stunningly beautiful.
Catherine? Hello.
Hello, Paul.
Oh, so pleased to meet you at last.
You too.
Thank you for meeting up with me. Oh, crikey. Two are underway. One's for me, one's for you.
That's right.
Sheep, we're painting sheep.
That's right.
You're working from photographs,
Well,
I see.
I'm afraid we haven't got a resident sheep here, so we're going to have to paint from photographs. And I've got a lovely Devon long wool.
Oh, gosh. I think that looks stunning as it is. I'm going to mark this up. I know I am.
No, you're not.
OK, so you start with a blank canvas. You obviously put a ground colour on straight away, do you?
Yes, always start with a wash that gives some more depth to
But you've started with a charcoaly sort of dark colour. Are we hoping to put green grass on that?
You can put whatever you like, but I think green would complement the sheep. Or a sky blue. Make it up as you go along.
Is that what you tend to do?
Artistic licence, yeah.
Right, OK, can I just pick a brush up? I love
Yes.
your palette.
Yes, I don't clean it as often as I should, but it works for me.
But animals are your thing?
Yes, pretty much.
Sheep, horses?
Mostly Dartmoor inspired,
Yes.
so yeah.
Look, I need a lesson. I want to learn how to paint like this. Where do we start? You've started with this outline.
Basically, I work from dark to light and then bring in the creams and whites and highlights and build it up from there.
Did you always paint like this?
It's just a style that's evolved, you know, over the space of 10 years, and it's just the way I paint now.
Can I start more on the background? Because I'm feeling really
Yeah, of
scared,
course
and
you
I just
can.
think I'm not going to muck up the image so much. If I start to feel
Yeah.
confident with a bit of blue.
Got a lot of white and cream and highlights, so that and on the nose, so that would maybe start building up some depth.
You tend not to
Help
clean your
yourself.
brushes off. You use the same brush for the same
I
colour.
try to stop using too much terps. I find if the brush is too wet with terps, it stops you from getting the colours underneath coming through. So, sort of work with a dryish brush.
Dryish brush,
yeah.
and it's sort of dragged mostly. Is it sort of moved and sort of?
That's right. Yes.
I don't know if that's the right colour to use or not. There.
I think it works. The secret's to paint fast.
I gather that. I've just been watching you, and
You know,
all of a sudden you've put some highlight on your sheep, just on its forehead, and all of a sudden the sheep's talking to you, whereas mine is sort of in the distance, frightened.
We're lucky we're painting from photographs, but if you think about Monet, he had to paint as fast as he could, and wet on wet with
Is
as
his
well.
work a big influence to you?
Yes.
More so than any other artist?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
But your work has totally inspired me to pick up paintbrushes and do this kind of thing.
Oh,
you know,
thank you.
be loose with it and be creative and imaginative. And that's what it's all about. I think that's what good art is all about.
Yeah, I think when you're starting out as a painter, I think it's always best to use a big canvas and a big brush. Don't be frightened of it.
It's very therapeutic as well, isn't it?
It is great, actually.
Can you give me a tip on what to do for some of these curls in the wool?
Just
Just,
do a curl.
it's not that
Just
easy,
go-
is it? You see, this is 10 years of you going. That's the problem. It's all feel, isn't it?
Catherine's painting style enables her to capture the feeling and the movement of her subjects. Those bold strokes and layers give every canvas its own individuality, capturing the depth and the character of each animal. Some have a sense of vulnerability. Some seem detached or even isolated, while others are just inquisitive.
I'm just going to turn my painting upside down so I can have a look at it like that. It's just something I do. Helps me to look.
What will you look for when you
Tight
stand
on.
back?
Just helps you to see where you've gone wrong, or helps you to see where to go when you're a bit stuck.
Will you work on more than one canvas at a time?
Yes, I do. So I don't overwork them, and because they're oils, I let them dry and then pick them up and then put in fresh colours over the top.
What do you like painting most? Is it sheep, or would it be the cattle or hounds?
Sheep, I think. Something nice and familiar, I don't know, childhood memories or something. It was when I have a show in London, and I put a sheep in this big swanky gallery and put a sheep in the window.
In the city centre?
In the city centre, you see these businessmen rushing past and they stop and have a look, and they smile, it makes them smile, you know.
Your work does that, you know, it puts a smile on people's faces. And I think that's a brilliant quality. It's technically very, very clever, but because it's loose and expressionistic, you don't understand the cleverness. This is why I'm so grateful to have this lesson, because I would never have the confidence to start like this at home.
It's starting to relax into it now.
Just. Yeah, just. Now I've lost its ear. This is looking more like Highland cattle than sheep on Exmouth.
You're doing really well.
Do you actually stand back and go, yeah, it's finished, and then tomorrow change your mind and want to put more on?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go home thinking, wow, I've done a good job today, and come back the next morning and think, no way. How did I think that was good? And then
so when do you know, when's that moment, that definitive moment when you know it's finished?
When you're actually pleased with it, I suppose.
Right, oh, okay.
When you actually see it and think, done okay there. Yeah.
Because sometimes less is best, isn't it? That's
Yes.
going to be my maxim. You see, right now I'm thinking less is best. I want to keep my sheep quite dark. But I know it's not finished, but I'm frightened to...
Maybe you could...
what do I do next? What
use
do I
a
do
big
next?
brush.
OK.
I mean, that one's a bit huge.
Go on, just show me.
He's got a big blob of white there.
Yeah.
And a big blob there.
Yeah.
So if you maybe incorporate a few big blobs.
OK.
Just to soften all those brush marks, smaller brush marks you've got.
Because there's a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Just here?
Yeah.
Just what, big blob?
Yes, because all this area is sort of quite light, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess that's the good thing about oils. You can keep going over it and over it, can't you?
You can, definitely.
Shall we have a look? Can you turn that back up?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just intrigued that you've been painting for half an hour now with that upside down.
And too long.
No, not at all. Did that help, turning it over?
It did, actually, yes.
Gosh, that is so good. Thank you so much for helping me out.
My pleasure.
Shake your hand.
Oily hand.
Can we carry on for a bit more? But
yes.
I just think this is lovely. What a perfect day out. We've got our first 4 items. Now we're taking them off to the sale. Let's hope we have a good result at auction. We're in Exeter at Bairns, Hampton and Littlewood for our sale today. We're lucky enough to have Chris Hampton auctioneering our lots, and the seller's commission here is 16.5% plus VAT. So let's crack on, and our first lot, it's Sue's charming painting. Now, we had an original valuation, which Sue was pleased with, of £100 to £150. Since the valuation day, you've had a chat to the auctioneer.
Yes.
And you've raised that reserve now to £200.
Yes, I have.
New valuation, £200 to £300.
Right. To be honest, I've sold prints by Adam Buck at £100 plus, so the only thing that maybe hold back a little bit was the frame.
Here we go. This is it. It's down to the bidders.
Adam Buck, portrait of a young woman, half-length, wearing a splendid hat. £150 is bid. At £150.
It sells, you know.
160, 170. At £170. Where's 180? 180, 190. One more. 200.
So good.
£200. Seated near me. At £200 and 10, will you? At £200. At £200 and
Going
selling.
on the reserve.
At £200.
Well done. Good for you for putting up the reserve.
Yes,
well
yes,
done.
it might have gone for much less.
Well, if no one was bidding against him, you know, as you say, you've got it at 100.
I thought you'd have got that really cheap.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
It's nice to meet you.
Attention.
Nice to meet you.
No, not at all. Thank you.
That's all right.
What a great start. Let's hope it continues. I'm up next with Colin's advertising icon.
It's the Michelin Man about to go under the hammer. We've got a reserve of £60. I'm hoping to get around 80. Unfortunately, Colin hasn't made it in yet. We've been on the phone to him. He said he's left home, but maybe he's having problems in parking because it is really busy out there. I'm expecting him to run through the door any second now and join with me in this wonderful moment.
The seated advertising figure of a Michelin Man with a mounting bracket, and at £45 is bid. At £45, at 45, 50, 55. At £55, and 60 now. And 60 will you? 60 in the doorway. At £60, and 5 now.
Come on, Colin.
£60 and selling it. At 60.
It's sold. There's Colin now, look at that. I'm not joking, I've literally just said to the camera, the hammer's gone down. The hammer went down.
Oh, right.
At £60. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's all right. It's quite all right.
Colin, it's great to see you anyway.
And you, Mother.
And we make it a hat-trick with the pestle and mortar.
Oh, have I been waiting for this moment ever since that valuation day back in Exmouth. Judith's here. What a stir you caused.
Very pleased about that.
And what a lovely item as well. Something so tactile, something so sculptural. The pestle and mortar, which I took around to all the off-screeners. So we've got a mixed variation of valuations, and I let Will go ahead with it with you at the table. And you were ever so excited, weren't
I was
you?
very pleased,
Yeah, I'd love to have done that one, because this could fly away.
Keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The 18th century lignum vitae mortar and a trine pestle. And at £150 starts it, 160, 170, 180.
Bid on the book.
90, 200, 220, 240, 260, 280, £280. Where's 300? At £280. Straight ahead. Now selling at £280.
Come on, a bit more. Well, it's gone. Top end, though, 280. We are happy, Judith.
I'm very happy
isn't
about
it?
that, yes, my
That's
goodness
very
me.
good. That's very good.
Very
Had a lot
pleased.
going for it, that did.
Yeah, you're right.
Really good. Nice thing. Thank you so much for bringing it in.
Our pleasure.
And coming up next, we've got a collection of silver, all from the 1900s. It belongs to Hilary, who's right next to me. And this is your first auction.
It is.
And you're having a bit of tough time at the moment, aren't you?
I am. I've just moved out of one house and I haven't moved into my next house, and I'm staying with a very nice friend.
Stressful, isn't it? Living out of boxes.
Absolutely.
Good luck in the new house. Where is it?
In Heavytree.
Where's that?
In Exeter.
In Exeter.
From the other side of town.
You're staying in the area?
Yes. Oh, good. Yes, because I have an allotment and I want to keep my allotment. Where I'll be this afternoon.
We've digressed. We should be talking about antiques. This is the sale room, and your lot is just about to go into the hammer. Good luck, Hilary. This is it.
Silver cigarette case, a set of 6 George VI teaspoons, and a set of 6 George V coffee spoons cased. All the lot together, £70 is bid. At 75, 85, 95, 105, 110, 120.
You see, he's looking at his book. People have left bids on the book prior to the sale. They viewed it earlier in the week, but they're not here today.
Selling at £160.
That's a good result. £160. Wow.
That's really good.
Yes. You can now go from the tension, the high drama of the auction room to the calm of the allotment. I quite envy you, actually. On a day like today. Is that where you're heading off to today? I bet you are.
Yes.
While Hilary heads off to the allotment, I've got my...
Welcome to Devon and the seaside town of Exmouth. Now, nobody is clutching their buckets and spades today playing on the sand, but they are in a healthy queue clutching bags and boxes, hopefully full of treasure. And what are you going to do with all that lot?
Regarded by some as the oldest holiday resort in Devon, Exmouth has been a popular tourist destination ever since the 18th century. Its golden age came with the arrival of the railway in 1861, bringing with it mass tourism. And it looks like we've also brought out quite a crowd today. Fingers crossed a few gems from that golden age make an appearance. Keen to keep on track and already in the queue, looking for today's gems, our experts, Christina Trevanian.
Oh, what is it that you've got? So it's Victorian scrapbook. That's beautiful, isn't it? The colours are still so good.
And Will Axon.
I've seen a lot of horses, and I don't think either of those are going to make that water jump.
Both highly experienced valuers and auctioneers, I can guarantee nothing will slip past them.
He's a known man. I might give you one of these if I can, and we'll have a closer look inside.
Let's get the doors open and get the show on the road.
While everyone takes their seats inside the pavilion, here's what's coming up later. Christina is amazed by what you can find if you're lucky.
Well, I actually bought it in a jumble sale. I paid 50 pence for it.
Bought it from a jumble sale?
Yeah.
For 50p?
Will has a little wobble at the unpredictability of the auction room.
I hope it sells, you know.
And I thought I'm going to really work out at this and put in a good day shift for you. Is this really the apprenticeship for becoming an engine driver? Do you have to be a fireman first?
You start off as a cleaner.
Right.
Gradually you learn how to light the fire, and then you progress to the footplate, and then under the guidance of the driver and the fireman, you learn how to fire the engine. You then progress to learning this side of the engine, driving and that, and you learn how to oil the engine up, where to look, all this sort of thing. So it does take a few years before you get over to this side.
Right, what do I have to do first? I mean, what is the first job of the fireman?
Well, obviously there was nothing in the firebox this morning.
No.
So we've spent 3 hours bringing up to pressure, and we've got 160 on the clock, and 3/4 of water in the boiler. Boiler being the most important thing on the engine. If we lose water, we go bang.
So that's your gauge. You keep an eye on that. I'll tell you what, the size of the coal, look at this. Let me show you. Look at that. Now that is a whopping great lump of coal. There's some of it in there. Yeah. There you go. You guys have kindly got up at 6 o'clock this morning to sort this trip out for me today. You do it day in and day out, obviously, throughout the season. Why do you do it?
I thoroughly enjoy it. Somebody said to me, what would you do if you won the lottery? And I said I wouldn't do any different what I'm doing now. There was always a passion with me. I always wanted to be an engine driver when I was out taking train numbers. So I always feel privileged and pleasure to get on a steam locomotive.
Yeah. And what about you, Chris?
Love doing it. If you didn't love the job, you wouldn't do the hours. You just wouldn't, do it because it's such hard work.
Right, I need to put some water in the boiler now. Would you like to do that?
Yes, I would. It's about time I did something, isn't it, Dave?
Pull that lever there, that puts the water on. And then you turn the steam valve behind that anti-clockwise.
This one?
Yeah, you might have to crack it with your... That's it. Right away. And then what we do, we listen for the sound. That usually tells you it's picked up.
I can hear whistling.
Yeah, and if not, you look down the side, and if there's no water coming through, you just trim it with that there. As a fireman, you've got to think ahead all the time.
Sure.
What's going to be happening in 10 minutes?
Right. It's really hot.
So
just
you can turn it off now. So stop with the steam.
Right, that's off.
That's off, and off with the water.
When was the 305 class, this type of locomotive, decommissioned?
Well, it's never decommissioned.
Really?
No, it actually came off...
Bring it on the board.
It came off British Railways, and it actually came down to Totnes first off, and it did come up this branch back in the mid-60s, and then it disappeared to the Severn Valley Railway, where it actually ran their inaugural train up there in 1970, I believe.
How many have survived? Do you know offhand?
This is it. This is the one.
Is it really? Wow! I was just going to say wow, and he went woo. This is the only survivor. That is quite incredible, isn't it?
Running along the stunning valley of the River Dart, the journey to Totnes takes approximately 25 minutes, stopping only once at Staverton. But it gives you ample time to take in the breathtaking views.
This is just beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. Nice time of the year to do this as well.
Yes, the leaves are just out now.
Isn't that spectacular? Underneath a canopy of green foliage, and I tell you what, this is the life. This is the life every schoolboy wants. Oh, I just love the smell. Everything about this journey is wonderful. What sort of speed are we doing now?
We're doing approximately about 20.
What would our braking distance be if we saw like a cow or sheep on the line?
It'd probably be about a quarter of a mile safely.
Really? Quarter of a mile? I mean, there's a lot of weight here to stop, really, I guess, isn't there?
be enough now. Thank you. Yep, lovely. What happens at the end of the day when you're almost coming on your last route and you've still got a boiler full of coal? Do you knock it out or do you let it die out gradually? Or no, I work in advance, think ahead what you're doing. Right. On the last trip, I won't put quite so much coal in the firebox. Okay. So it'll be a lighter fire. Keep the boiler fuller, and when we get back to Buckfast on the last turn, the fire should be nice and flat and just about going out. Just about going out? Okay. God, you actually work non-stop. You work harder than Chris does, really, don't you, in a way?
Well, drivers don't do anything, do they, really?
Not really. No, he's got the responsibility of, you know, of being the engine driver, and he's in charge of me as well. Dave, thank you so much. And you, Chris. I've thoroughly enjoyed my day here. I'm going to do the return journey, sitting in the carriage, soak up the nostalgia, look at the scenery, and, well, carry on enjoying the day. How did I do, by the way?
You did very well, very well.
And you didn't drop my shovel in the fire.
So my job has finished, but Dave and Chris are still hard at it. As Topness is at the end of the line, the locomotive needs to be uncoupled and repositioned at the head of the carriages. Once everything's secured, we're all set for the return journey, and this time I get to enjoy a comfy seat. Isn't that just stunning out there? The beautiful Devonshire countryside, completely unspoilt, unchanged, and not a trace of the modern world. It's just beautiful, and I must say, it's a lot warmer and quieter here in this second-class carriage. I mean, it reminds me of being a schoolboy, growing up in Surrey and living near Hampton Court and getting on the train there and travelling to Surbiton. Wonderful times, wonderful times. The history of the line commercially is quite a quiet one, really. It was used for transporting goods, things like coal, wool, cider, and of course agricultural equipment and the local population. But with the advent of the motor car becoming a lot more popular in the early part of the 20th century, takings on the line here declined. And sadly, it closed on the 3rd of November in 1958. It carried on transporting goods for a few more years, but that finished also in 1962. Welcome to Devon and the seaside town of Exmouth. Now, nobody's clutching their buckets and spades today playing on the sand, but they are in a healthy queue clutching bags and boxes, hopefully full of treasure. And what are you going to do with all that lot? Flog it! Regarded by some as the oldest holiday resort in Devon, Exmouth has been a popular tourist destination ever since the 18th century. Its golden age came with the arrival of the railway in 1861, bringing with it mass tourism. And it looks like we've also brought out quite a crowd today. Fingers crossed, a few gems. We've travelled back to Exmouth, where everyone has been waiting patiently for some more valuations. Are you still happy? Yes! It's your turn next, believe me. Welcome back to our valuation day here at the Pavilion in Exmouth. Let's now catch up with our experts and see what else we can find to take off to auction. And it's Will who spotted something first, so sit up straight as we listen in to what he has to say about Sally's chair.
Well, I'm really pleased to see a bit of furniture at Exmouth today because we don't often get the chance, us furniture sort of experts or people who gear towards furniture. It's often too big or bulky to bring in, but no problem with this little piece.
No.
What can you tell me about it?
Well, not a lot really. I mean, I bought it in a shop about 30 years ago now, and I just moved into a new house.
Has anyone perched on it since you've had it?
No, nobody's sat on it since I've had it.
Yeah, because obviously someone at some stage has and would have.
Yes.
I mean, these are generally called sort of correctional chairs or deportment chairs, where if you sat in them, because of the very vertical nature of the back, it would literally sort of stop you from slouching, which is a sort of a natural position that we fall into.
Yes.
And you can tell someone's used it as well by the sort of natural wear on the turnings here of the stretchers.
Yes.
Can I ask you what you paid for it?
I think I paid around £50 for it.
That's not too bad, actually. That's very good, because of its type, I think it's a rather nice one. Starting from the top and working down, we've got a nice top rail here that sort of echoes the dining chairs of the time. We're talking early 19th century to sort of mid-19th, that sort of William IV, Victorian sort of crossover.
Yes.
This carved rail as well, I mean, that's just a nice touch of quality because someone's gone to the effort of hand carving that. And again, that echoes the dining chairs of the time. You'll see a lot of dining chairs with that sort of splat on the back.
Right.
Nice little cane seat, which is in actually very good order, which is nice. It looks like it could be original, it could have been replaced, but it's been done sympathetically, and it's been done well. And then these long, sort of elegant legs. But there's just a nice little splay at the bottom, isn't it?
Yes.
Just sort of adds that little...
Yes.
It gives it a sense of stability, I would
Yes,
think.
I particularly like that, the way it splays out.
That's another typical feature of the sort of period, just that little splayed front leg. And the wood, of course. The wood in itself is in beech. It's a beechwood chair.
Yes.
You can generally tell beech when you get these flecks.
Yes.
Just by the way that the wood is cut.
Right,
That's just the way the rings sort of appear on the surface.
Yes.
But up here, they've just added these little pen marks or paint marks just to simulate the rosewood grain.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting.
So, of course, if someone was sitting on it, then you might just sort of see the top rail. So that's where they've made the effort to try and make it look sort of more expensive than it is.
That's very interesting, yes.
I mean, I like it myself. Do you like it?
Yes, I do like it.
So what's the reason for selling it?
Well, since I had that, you know, parents have died, etc., and I've inherited various other chairs.
Yes.
And there isn't really a lot of room left for chairs, and as this one isn't used, I thought it made sense to get rid of that one, really.
Okay. So if you got your money back...
Yes.
That would be a sort of a good ending to the
Yes.
story,
Oh,
wouldn't
yes, it
You
would.
know, you'd have had the enjoyment of it.
Yes, that's right.
So what I'm going to say to you is let me put the estimate at 40 to 60.
Yes.
Straddle that £50 mark, yes?
Right, yes, that's fine.
Do you want to reserve it, or are you happy for it to...
Well, perhaps I should have a bit of a reserve on it.
Let's put a reserve on at 30.
Yes.
If it's not worth £30, then I say take it home, because it's got to be worth £30.
No, that's fine.
And I'm pretty sure you're going to have no trouble getting that away on the day.
Okay.
And all I've got to say is thank you for bringing in a bit of furniture for me to look at.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
So, Chris, you brought this lighter in to show us today. Tell me where you got it from.
Well, I actually bought it in a jumbo sale about 30 years plus ago, and I paid 50 pence for it. And
You bought it from a jumble sale?
Yeah.
For 50p?
Yeah, and
Brilliant.
took it home and cleaned it up, and then realised that it was 9-carat gold.
It is, absolutely 9-carat gold, yeah. And it's got this wonderful maker's mark. Did you recognise the name at the time for Dunhill?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Yeah.
And I sent it away to Dunhill cigarette manufacturers in London.
Yeah.
And asked them if they could repair it because there was a pin broken on it.
Right.
And they refurbished it fully and sent it back to me with no charge.
Oh gosh, that was very generous, wasn't it?
And
Wow.
also they offered me £100 to buy it for their museum.
Oh, wow. So how long ago was that?
It's got to have been about 30 years ago because I didn't have it that long. And, you know, I wasn't planning on keeping it anyway. But when they said it was £100, I thought, well, I'll hang on to it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So why have you changed your mind about selling it?
Well, it's been in a drawer for going on 30 years now, and I just watched the Flog programme, and I saw you were down at Exmouth, so I thought I'd bring it along just to see what it was worth now.
Excellent. Oh, well, that's good news. Well, they've obviously done a very good job of refurbishing it, and you haven't used it because we've got this very, very clean.
Yeah, it's never been used.
No,
Not
never
since
been
I've
used.
had it refurbished.
Fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and it's in very good condition. It's in 9-carat gold,
Yeah.
so we've got a 9-carat gold coat here, and on the bottom, all the information about it. Nice 9-carat gold hallmark there, which is also hallmarked for Dunhill. So we know that the case was also made by Dunhill. Some of them weren't. Some of them were made by a different manufacturer, and then they put the Dunhill name to it.
All right.
You do get them in a variety of different forms. You do get them with engine turning, and also I have seen them, rather than this oval shape here, I have seen them in a faceted form. But I think it's really quite nice in its simplicity.
Yeah.
So you bought it from a jumble sale, you don't know who it belonged to before?
No idea.
You would have been fairly affluent, really, to have yourself a 9-carat gold lighter.
Yeah.
From the hallmark, actually, it's dated 1929. So it's from the late 20s. It's nice that we know that date. It makes it pinpoint it more accurately. Value-wise, we might be looking somewhere in the region of maybe £250 to £350. How do you feel about that?
Sounds good.
Good, excellent. So would you be happy, I mean, if we put an estimate of 250 to 350
Yeah.
and a firm reserve of 250, how would you feel about that?
I was thinking more 300 reserve.
300 reserve, okay. So we'll say 300 to 400 with a reserve of 300. I hope that's not just a little bit too high. It might just be, but let's keep our fingers crossed.
Well, I can always keep it and go up in value.
Well, exactly. That's very true. It's not the kind of thing that's going to go down in value.
Exactly.
So, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for bringing it in today.
Thank you very much.
And we'll look forward to the auction. Hopefully it'll be very successful for you.
Hopefully, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever happens, you're on to a winner, Chris. It looks like Will has found quite a collection.
Well, Jean, you've come in today with a real Aladdin's cave here of various gold items. Tell me, have these come out of your own jewellery box?
No, I inherited them many years ago.
Inherited pieces, OK. So you're not going to feel a sort of pang of sentimentality when you sell them? Was it a close family member?
No, not at all. I think I met the relation once as a child, so there's no sentimental or emotional attachment to them at all.
OK, well, let's have a quick look at what you have brought in. I like this necklace you brought in here, which I've had a closer look at, and is marked 15 karat gold, so a reasonable purity of gold. But I love this sort of almost wire work onto the cabochon beads type on this sort of strung necklace. Never tempted to wear that?
No, I think it's hideous.
Oh dear, there's me.
I don't like it.
There's me talking it up. What about this one? I mean, I don't think that's ever going to be in your pocket, is
No.
it, being a gent's pocket watch? And the condition of it as well is rather poor. Was it like that when you inherited it?
I think it was, yes. It's never worked since I've had it.
It's
so,
never worked,
no,
OK.
no.
Well, to be honest with you, that's not really a big problem, because even though it is a pocket watch, all the value on that is in the 18 karat gold case. And then on this side of the table, we've got various little charms and sweetheart brooches on this little bracelet here. I mean, again, charm bracelets. When's the last time you ever wore a charm bracelet?
As a child.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
That's the trouble. They've really fallen out of fashion.
Yes.
But good news for you is that they're nearly all, and the chain, 9 karat gold. So that's going to have value in the material value of what they're made of.
Lovely.
And these little sweetheart brooches, they're nearly always 9 karat gold. You see a lot of those late Victorian sort of period. And then here a little charm that I think perhaps fell off maybe the charm bracelet, or maybe was on a chain as a little pendant locket perhaps. So we've got 15 karat gold there, we've got 18 karat gold here, we've got various 9 karat gold items there. It pains me to sort of talk in this way, but with the price of gold being so high, these are literally going to be weighed in, I'm afraid, and their value is purely in what they weigh.
On the weight, right.
Now, the watch case, 18 karat gold, I mean, you're probably looking at sort of £300, that sort of level, just for the case.
That does surprise me, yes.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It
For not really a lot of gold.
Yes.
But the price is up there. 9 karat gold charms and so on, you're probably looking, I would say, at sort of around 100, 150, that sort of level. And then for the 15 karat gold necklace, again, you're probably looking at around that sort of £300 mark.
Very good.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it soon mounts up.
Yeah.
So if we think that we're looking here at, what, 750-ish, that sort of level?
Good grief.
I think we're going to need to reserve these, but to be honest with you, a lot of the buyers of this type of thing will go to sales armed with their digital scales, and they will weigh the items there and then for their own records, so they know exactly where to bid.
Yes.
You have to allow a bit compared to the bullion price, bearing in mind that buyers do pay a buyer's premium. But even so, I'm confident that if you were happy to put these in at sort of £600 to £800 with a fixed reserve at 600, I'm pretty confident that we will see these away. How do you feel about that as a sort of level?
Sounds good, yes, that'll be fine.
And tell me, what's the money going to go towards? Maybe a piece of jewellery that you do wear?
I think a nice holiday.
Oh, very nice. Let's swap this gold for perhaps the goldy sandy beach. How's that?
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I'll see you on the day.
Right, John.
Yes, you can talk to me about this vinaigrette which my wife had.
I saw you in the queue this morning.
Yes.
It was very blustery outside. You had a big box of things. And then you came up with this little gem. Where's it come from?
It's come from a family passed on from her great Aunt Julia.
So this is on your wife's side?
On my wife's side.
And do you know what it is?
Yes, I gathered my wife had already educated me a little bit and told me it was a vinaigrette.
Ah, there we go. And do you know what they were used for?
Yes, for obnoxious smells.
That's right. When you were obviously in the 19th century, when there was something that was not too sweet smelling, you would have your vinaigrette and you would wave it under your nose and it would bring lightness back to your lives. This is the most wonderful vinaigrette. It's silver. You've got this wonderful agate top, which has been especially chosen and polished to fit this space. And also the banding has been selected to create these wonderful striations here. If we open it up, inside, we've got this beautiful silver gilt, what we call a grill. Now, underneath this grill, you would have had a sponge soaked in perfume or scent, basically, yes. And what's even more exciting for a vinaigrette collector, if we lift the grill, which sadly has had some damage to it, hasn't it? The grill hinge, unfortunately, is a little bit damaged there. But underneath the grill, we've got this wonderful hallmark which tells us that it was made in Birmingham and the date letter is for 1850. And we've got those magic initials NM. Now, NM stands for Nathaniel Mills, who, for vinaigrette collectors, is the creme de la creme of makers, okay? At this stage in his career, unfortunately, Nathaniel Mills had actually passed away, and his vinaigrette or small working firm had passed to his sons. So at this particular date, it's not actually Nathaniel Mills making these pieces anymore. However, as we can see from how intricate this grill is, his sons have really maintained his standards, and he's still as popular today with vinaigrette collectors. And then if we turn it over, we've got this continuing floral engraved design here, and what we call a cartouche in the middle, which you will have had your initials or your name or some sort of dedicatory inscription in. Sometimes they can detract from the value, but this has been left vacant. That actually will be a plus point to any buyer because they can actually have their own put in, so that's fantastic. So tell me, John, why are you selling it?
My wife has literally said, well, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And it's better to go towards something else which she might want to buy.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
another jewellery, modern jewellery.
Sensible woman, I like that. Well, I think if you were to send it to auction, you're probably looking somewhere in the region of maybe 150 to 200 pounds, with a reserve of 150 with some slight discretion. I just think it could do better, but I do have some concerns about the condition. How do you feel about that?
I feel fine about it. I think my wife would be happy as well.
You think she'd be okay with that, do you?
Definitely.
Oh, good. I'm pleased. She does know that you bought it, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah, she knows I bought it.
Well, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes if she didn't. So, how do you think our experts' valuations went? There's only one way to find out. We're off to auction, and here's a quick reminder of what we've chosen. So, we're back in Exeter for our last visit to the sale room with auctioneer Chris Hampton. Picked up for 50 pence at a jumble sale, and hopefully it's going to achieve 300 to 400 pounds. Chris, good luck.
Yeah.
And Christina, these are the stories we love, aren't
They're
they?
wonderful.
9 carat gold, George V. Why are you selling now?
Well, it's been in a drawer home for about 30 to 40 years, and I just saw your programme down at the pavilion in Exmouth and decided I could see what it's worth.
And we're going to find out right now.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Hopefully we get that top end. Here we go. This is it. This is exciting.
Dunhill, the George V 9 carat gold petrol-operated cigarette lighter, £200. 200, thank you, at £200, at 200. At 200, 120, 240, 60, 280, 300. At 300 nearly. At £300, where's 20? At £300.
It's sold on the reserve.
Yeah. Well done then, selling at £300.
We did it. That's not a bad return on 50 pence. Put it there.
Pleased with that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good spotting, sir. It was. But that's auction stay with. It is a rollercoaster ride. Well done. There is commission to pay, don't forget. It's 16.5% plus VAT.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for bringing it in. Selling for 600 times the purchase price. It's a result I'm sure would have any of us on the edge of our seat. Talking of which, next it's that lovely Beechwood deportment chair. It's a lovely example. It belongs to Sally, and we're not looking for a lot of money, are we, Will? 40, 50 pounds, something like that. Condition's really, really good. I like the bar back. It's nice and high. It makes you sit straight. Why are you selling today?
Well, I've inherited quite a few chairs since I bought that one, and I really need to do a bit of work on the ones that I've inherited.
Sure. So one's got to go.
So one's got to go, really. So hopefully it will.
Let's find out, shall we? And hopefully we'll find a home for it. Here we go.
The Stainbeach deportment or correction chair, and a 2 bid set at £40.
2 bids straight in at 40.
Excellent. 5 at £55. Where's 60? 60. 65. At £65 with me. And I sell then at £65.
Sally, that's a good result. Hammer's gone down £65. Good, clean example.
Yeah, I'm glad that went away, because I mean, if that hadn't sold, then the furniture market really would have been in the dog.
Yeah, and that's quite sad, isn't
it? Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that is sad.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I'm pleased about that. That's really good.
Good,
Thanks.
and thank you for bringing it in. The original valuation, 600 to 800.
Yeah.
Gold prices have just gone up recently. Good news for you,
Indeed.
because I know the auctioneer's had a chat to you on the phone, hasn't he? The new estimate is £900 to £1,300.
Ooh, good news.
You've got to keep your eye on those gold prices, haven't you?
Exciting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. Do you know, if we wait another 10 minutes, hopefully the gold price has got a bit more. Anyway, it's going under the hammer right now. This is it.
The gentleman's 18-carat gold keywand pocket watch, 15-carat gold rope twist necklace with filigree beads, a continental bracelet, 10 charms attached, 2 brooches, a chain, and a book form locket. And I bid £750. At £750. At £750. At £750. 850. At £850. 950.
I can't even see who's bidding.
Well, look, there's someone's left a bid on the book. You don't have to be in the room. You can bid on the phone, online, or you can leave a bid on the book.
And 50. 1,200. And 50. 30. And £1,300 near me.
Top end of the estate.
Selling now at £1,300. You all on? 1,300, thank you.
Oh, you must be so made up with that.
Worth getting up this morning.
Oh, definitely.
With that money going towards a holiday, I'm sure Jean will be packing her suitcase and feeling the sand between her toes in no time at all. Next, it's John with our final lot and that lovely Nathaniel Mills vinaigrette.
This is Heather, who we didn't see at the valuation day, but it's great to see you again, John's wife. Now, it's yours, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, it was great aunt's.
Yes.
Sad to see it go?
Not really.
No. That's the answer we like. We're here to sell things, aren't we? Not keep things, in a way. But I'm sure you've got other things
Yes,
of
I
hers.
do.
What a quality piece.
Oh, it's lovely. Really, really nice. And I know that most Nathaniel Mills collectors do tend to want sort of castle tops
Yes.
and what you'd expect of Nathaniel Mills. But this is just slightly unusual, so hopefully we'll find some good bidders in the room that will want it.
Here we go. It won't be in the sale room for much longer.
A Victorian silver and polished agate oval vinaigrette by Nathaniel Mills, and we'll start here at £180.
Well, that's straight in at the top end.
And 10, 220. 230 with me, 240, 250, 260, 270, 280, 5, 290, £290 in the room.
Yeah.
At £290 I sell at 290.
£290.
Very nice.
Brilliant.
I don't have to get my wallet out now and buy an extra pair of jewellery.
John.
That's a promise.
Yeah.
That's a promise.
Excellent.
A man that loves you. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well done. Congratulations.
Well done,
More than
Christina.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for doing the valuation.
Oh, you're welcome, Heather.
Well, how about that? I think most people have gone home happy. That's what it's all about. As you can see, the auction's still going on. We've had a terrific time here in Exeter, and thanks to everybody here for looking after us. I can't wait to come back. But until then, join me again for many more surprises on Flog It. Bye-bye.
England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales in action this weekend with all the